So welcome back to the Searchmetrics Digital Summit. My name is still Malte and I'm your host today. And in just about a minute, we will learn how to conduct research into Google algorithm updates. And we will learn this from Marcus Pentzek, who is the Chief SEO Consultant here at Searchmetrics. And he regularly analyzes Google updates and then shares these findings in the Searchmetrics blog. And I'm really looking forward to see his presentation now. Marcus, over to you.
Hi, thank you. Welcome, everyone. And we are just heading right in because it's a heavy topic, I think, and I'm expecting quite some questions. Okay, so what do we do when there is a Google update and we don't know what to do? What happened if our website went down? Let's dig right into it. So first of all, what is a Google update? What we see here right now is the Chrome Web Store. So this is a list of softwares that you can install on your browser, like plugins. And what these softwares all have in common is that they need to be updated every now and then. And this is not different to Google. Just the only difference is that you don't need to install them on your computer. They run in the background. So what happens here is, okay, that went too fast. That's strange. Here it is. So what happens is that Google will update it automatically in the background. So just as we do it with Searchmetrics, because we are also a software as a service, just like Google, it's a software as a service, it's a search as a service. So they're updating everything in the background to serve the best user experience to the visitors, to the users. If we head over to Microsoft, they will always release some release notes, what they resolved, what features they added, which security fixes they added, and which lines of code they changed. Well, now, not really. And this is what Google also does not do. They don't say what exactly they changed. They only want to serve the best user experience. Just sometimes they are going to announce an update beforehand because they want the webmasters to prepare it, just like in 2015 when they announced that there would be a mobile-friendly update in the future. But usually they won't. They will simply change what the search experience is and to serve the best they can, like adding videos to a search, for example. But sometimes they're changing the order of the results. And when they do this, they consider different ranking factors. And as we know, there are more than 200 different ranking factors that they communicate. But in fact, this is like thousands more if we go into very detail. In the past, we published correlation studies on ranking factors year by year. But we stopped that because we have seen that there are changes in the ranking factor that are affecting the rankings for different niches, for different industries, like for e-commerce, travel, health, and so on. Just as an example, for the weight loss industry, it seems to be good to have videos on the page. And for the others, we don't see that much. So then we published last year a Google Lighthouse ranking factors study. This is more like a technical SEO ranking factors where we have seen correlations as well, like the first meaningful paint for the first ranking pages is lower than for the later ranking pages. So this might be a ranking factor on the technical side. So if we head back to this Microsoft announcement, which things they changed, Google would have to say, well, for the finance industry, we resolved this issue. For the furniture industry, we have made these changes. And for cars and weight loss, we did this. Of course, they don't do this. They only simply try to improve the user experience. And this is what they're striving to get better. And even though we SEOs might not like what we see, the user is expecting and getting a better user experience. This is what they want. So if you are hit by a Google update, it's not about a penalty. It's about Google wanting to solve user experience issues with their search results. So there might be something with your website that is not quite as they expected. So we might want to improve. So if you're going to Searchmetrics and you're seeing an SEO visibility curve like this, going down, a very drastic thing, then you first probably have no idea what happened. There are no news on the web. There are no blog posts on it. The chat is very unspecific, especially in the beginning. And if the rumors don't fit your case, then it's time to perform your own analysis. What has changed for you, for your industry? So these are the steps for your do-it-yourself Google Update analysis. You first have a look at the keywords that were affected. Be careful about those keywords that are not useful. I will explain this a little later. And mind those shaky keywords as well. Do you see any patterns? If so, look who's benefiting and check for the differences. So this is basically the process that you need to follow. How this is done in detail, we're going to look at right now. So this is the SEO visibility curve of TripAdvisor.com in the USA. And just like 2 weeks ago, they experienced a really good drop, well, bad drop, if you say. This was around 5th of April. And we want to have a look what really happened. So looking at these 2 weeks, we see a lot more loser keywords or keywords that lost rankings and were positioned lower than before, and a lot more than they got new rankings. So this is one of the reasons. But which keywords were these? So this is export of those loser keywords. And we see they're being headed by near me food, restaurants, hotel, food near me. These are kinds of keywords that I would not consider to look deeper into, because if you're looking on these keywords, looking up on these keywords, you will get a search result like this. So there's a browse by and there's a map in the beginning. And the first organic result will be under the map. So the probability that you get a click is very low anyways. Then there are keywords like this, Craigslist Chicago. This is also something that is not really likely that you will get the click because it's a navigational search. And those users are probably going to Craigslist.org anyways. And then there are keywords like these, Nashville hotels, hotels in Nashville, Washington, D.C. hotels, and many more. And those are kinds of keywords that this website, TripAdvisor.com, is built for to rank. And you see they used to rank on position 1, and they lost. There's one exception here. This is vacation. This is not one of those hotels keywords, but it also looks interesting and used to rank on position 1 and dropped. Let's have a closer look into this one. So actually, like 6 months ago, they didn't rank at all in the top 10 for this keyword. And then they really gained good rankings and only lost around the Google update around 5th April, like 2 positions. So I wouldn't say they really lost on the Google update. They actually did a good SEO job on this keyword. Having a look into the other keywords, we see a different picture. So for Nashville hotels, they used to rank on position 1 with some breaks, and then they lost. Well, they lost before around the beginning of March, so maybe this is not the thing of the update. So let's have a look into the next keyword. For Washington, D.C. hotels, this is a little more clear. They still used to rank on number 1 with a little break, and then lost like 2 weeks ago and are still on this position 2 now. For Myrtle Beach hotels, it's a very similar picture, just with a little up and down in between, but in general, they're on position 1 and then lost and went down to position 2. This doesn't seem to be a lot going down from 1 to 2, but this is a heavy load in visitors that they are missing right now. So for Boston hotels, same picture, but they lost 2 positions and are staying on position 3 now. And I just filtered down this list to those kinds of keywords, city plus hotels. where they used to be on position 1 and had at least 2 positions in drop. And I sorted this list by the loss of traffic that we think they are losing. So these are the kinds of keywords that we want to look into right now, because they all have got the same pattern, city plus hotels. And if we're looking at the competing domains on exactly this keyword set of, I think it's around like 60 keywords that I looked at, we see hotels.com, booking.com ranking a lot, expedia.com as well. And hotels.com right now has got the most position 1 rankings and position 2 rankings, followed by booking.com. TripAdvisor, no position 1 rankings, of course, because we filtered down the list to keywords only that had no position 1 ranking right now. And if we gave every position some points, like we give position 1 2 points, position 2 9 points, and so on, and add this up, we will get some kind of ranking. And hotels.com will add up to 545 points, so they are the clear winner on this keyword set. Booking.com is following, and TripAdvisor is number 3. Let's have a look into why this might be the case. Let's look at the domain strength and the off-page area. So the SEO visibility shows how strong a domain is on very broad keyword set. And we're seeing that hotels.com SEO visibility is not as high as TripAdvisor.com's. Well, this is not based on the keyword set that we have here on the left-hand side. This is a very big keyword set, around 1 million, 2, 3, I don't know, Malte? Do you have a number for this?
Sorry, for which keyword set?
For the broad SEO visibility keyword set in US.
It's large.
It's large, okay. Let's go with this. Looking into the linking domains, we see as well that Booking.com and TripAdvisor both have more than 10,000 linking domains, while Hotels.com only has around 4,000. So this might not be the thing. Looking into the SBS, this is our own version of the Google PageRank. We calculate this from the big set in linking and links to each website. And here as well, we see bigger scores for Booking.com and TripAdvisor than for Hotels.com. So concluding from this, we see that stronger domains are not automatically the winners of this update. The number of linked domains might not be the game changer here in this case, and the SBS not as well this time. For another update, it might be completely different, so we had to look into this, but for this update, it's not. Let's have a look into the brand signals for those domains. So there's a high percentage of direct traffic and referral traffic and social traffic for the winner, hotels.com. The thing is that TripAdvisor.com is having the least direct traffic, the least referral traffic, and the least social traffic of all those domains that are now in the top ranking. So this is a clear signal for me that their brand is not as strong as the others are. A good, big, good brand always gets a good share of direct traffic and referral traffic. So this might be something they might want to look into. So the winning domains have strong brand signals. We got that. So eventually, this might be one of the signals that Google changed during this update. Looking into the technical aspects, we look into Google Lighthouse, of course, again, looking at the top 4 domains here. And we see there's a low score in performance, a low score in accessibility for TripAdvisor compared to the others, and even for SEO. This is based on the landing page for their Boston Hotels keyword. Let's have a look at another landing page. Maybe this is just one-time thing. But looking into Virginia Beach hotels, we see the very same picture. So they are the worst in performance and accessibility compared to the other domains, and even in SEO. And for Atlantic City hotels, this is the very same. So if they want to improve on these points, what are the most important ones to look at? So for performance, the thing that you really want to look at is the time to interactive score, which is like 18.5 seconds here for TripAdvisor.com landing pages on mobile. And this is the score that you want to improve. There are ways to do this. So different things, just run Lighthouse audit and you will get a lot of hints from Google what you can improve. So for the accessibility, this is very similar. There are a lot of points that you might want to improve, like giving frames or iframes a title, having an alt attribute for pictures, which TripAdvisor strangely doesn't have. And for SEO, it's very same picture. Just add some alt attributes and you get a better SEO score here. So these are probably quick wins. We did this only for like 3 landing pages right now, right? I had our data science team perform this on the whole keyword set that we picked. And we see for the top 6 positions, they're all better in the time to interactive than TripAdvisor.com is. So this might be something that Google actually changed here in this Google update. Let's have a look into the on-page parts. For the landing page of Boston hotels, we've got these top 4 rankings, TripAdvisor at number 3, as we know. The thing about these titles, about these ranking titles, is that position 1 has the keyword hotels in Boston much closer to the beginning than TripAdvisor.com is. And TripAdvisor.com has their keyword hotels in Boston even far away from the beginning than number 2 Booking.com. So maybe this is one of the things. Booking.com also is using the exact match keyword of Boston hotels. So maybe this is one thing as well, because they're ranking better. For now, let's have a look into another keyword, Virginia Beach hotels. Very similar picture here. The keyword much more in the beginning, ranks number 1. And also an exact match keyword ranking number 2 before TripAdvisor. And the third one for Atlantic City hotels, the very same picture here. So this might be a factor that has changed during the April update for this keyword set. We will see. Looking into the headlines, also an on-page factor, we see these headlines for hotels.com. So they've got one H1 and followed by a whole bunch of headlines structuring the page. Booking.com, very similar picture, one H1 and a lot of other headlines structuring the page. And then we see TripAdvisor.com with 2 H1 headlines and no following ones. Expedia does have the same picture as the first 2 ranking pages. So the difference here is that only TripAdvisor.com is not following the best practice, the SEO best practice of using one H1 headline. And they're not structuring the rest of the page, at least not with headlines. So the advice here would be to use only one H1 headline and use further headlines for more structure. So eventually, this was also one of the factors that Google changed for this area. Looking into the structured data markups with schema.org, I actually don't see a similarity between the top ranking domains except TripAdvisor, but I do see something interesting. Hotels.com is using the place markup, which looks like this for Boston. Booking.com is using the hotels markup, which seems logical. So maybe TripAdvisor should do this as well anyways. And Expedia is using the maps markup, which is looking like this. So since we don't see any similarities here between the top ranking pages, I don't think this might be the ranking factor that Google changed this time, but it's still some advice that TripAdvisor should include into their landing pages. like place, hotels, and map. Looking into the SERP feature optimization, we see that TripAdvisor, that on the keyword set, on the large keyword set of TripAdvisor.com, like 36.67% are getting the SERP feature of images. And this is very similar to the other keyword sets for hotels.com, booking.com as well. And they even got a good share on 9% of this SERP feature image. And if you compare this to hotels.com, which is on the right-hand side, then we see there is no much difference, and there is no much other SERP features that hotels.com is acquiring here. So I don't think this might be one of the game changers here. So a good share in SERP features might not be the secret to this Google update. Having a look at the content, there are set up a briefing in our Searchmetrics content experience for the keywords hotels in Boston and Boston hotels. And on this briefing, hotels.com content is making a good score, as well as booking.com and TripAdvisor. But a difference here is the word count. While hotels.com is going into the direction that our software is suggesting, around 1,300 words in content, all the other on position 2, 3, and 4 are using more words. Maybe there is something that Google wants this number of words to be down for this kind of keyword set. Another thing is that hotels.com has got very, very few repetitions within their content of phrases, while all the others ranking from 2 to 4 are using more repetitions. So this is more in the direction of the quality of the content, which is the readability score as well. So hotels.com, booking.com, and Expedia have got a better readability score than TripAdvisor. So they might really want to improve on that one. Looking into the keyword coverage that we see over the top 20 ranking pages for these keywords, then hotels.com is having a good share on keywords here. Booking.com has a lot of red badges. Well, this is quite natural because they're using like 5 times as much text. And so this is very, very natural that they're repeating downtown or Boston hotels a lot more than the others. So I wouldn't pay too much attention to these red bubbles there. TripAdvisor also seems to have a very good share here, as well as Expedia. But if we look into the details, we see that all those top ranking domains, with the exception of TripAdvisor, are using the word or the phrase downtown Boston in there. And they're using the phrases check-in and on-site. Very natural words that you would expect on the landing page for Boston hotels. But how to include these? Well, we see on booking.com, there are some examples of like downtown Boston hotels with stylish rooms. Well, this might be just some keyword injection, but a phrase like airport and walking distance from downtown Boston seems very natural to be on such kind of page. And how to include on-site? Well, featuring an on-site restaurant or enjoy a drink at the on-site bar is also something that I would expect they have in the database anyway, so they could even include it in their landing pages for the different hotels. And then there are some further points that come to attention if you look at the landing pages themselves. So we look at the mobile landing page here for hotels.com, for booking.com, for TripAdvisor, and for Expedia. And there's one thing popping out to me, and this is this badge. So the badge for the COVID-19 alert here on hotels.com is using like 14% of the space of this mobile phone. And booking.com even covers like 21% of the space for their COVID-19 badge, while TripAdvisor is only using 6% to display this warning or this message. And with COVID-19 or Corona right now being paid so much attention all around the world or around the globe, even Google is paying attention to them. And it might be something that they are simply expecting on those pages to have a warning, especially for the travel industry, that people should not travel right now or something like this. So seeing the difference here that hotels.com, Boston, Booking.com and Expedia are using so much space and TripAdvisor is lowering this down to like only 60%, might be a factor that Google has paid attention to from around the beginning of April. I would say this sounds kind of logical. But what does TripAdvisor.com now need to change in order to recover? So we're looking at those keyword patterns of city plus hotels, like Boston hotels. And then we see here in the table in red those points that I think are really critical to change now. So they should increase on their brand signals, definitely. They should increase performance and the accessibility. They should pay attention to their titles. They should pay attention to their H1 headlines and to the other headlines as well. And they should pay attention to the quality of the content. So, for example, using less repetitions on their phrases. And very fast to do thing is increasing the area of their COVID-19 badge and putting a little more content on there. A quick win is probably all the things that you can do on page. So building a new pattern for the title, which goes over all the things. They don't need to change every title by hand. They simply change the pattern and it goes over all those landing pages. They can work on their template, which serves all those pages probably quite easily. And they should use further schema.org markups, which is probably also something they could right easily implement. Also quite easy is this working on their SEO, so putting the all attributes into the titles and adding or expanding this COVID-19 badge, giving it more space and more content. These are probably the quick wins that they can really easily do and work on. A little more work would be increasing the performance, because they would really need to work with the IT department and changing things really deep in their CMS, in their system. So this might be some kind of work, but they should really go on this. They're the slowest on all this, between all those domains. And something that might be a little harder to fix is their content. So the number of words closer to the recommendation. Well, they might be able to do this by lowering the number of hotels they display, but using less repetitions of phrases, increasing the readability, and closing the keyword usage gaps would be quite more complicated, because they're serving those pages from their database, and this really needs bigger changes. So probably not the quick win they should go for right now. And increasing the direct traffic, referral traffic, and social traffic, so those brand signals, is also some other department that need to interfere there, like public relations and so on. So going for the quick wins on page and SEO might already be happening with at least some rankings. So that was what the Google update in the beginning of April 2020 was about. Well, probably yes, for the keyword patterns of city plus hotels in the USA, and probably not for many other keywords and patterns and user intents. Because if you remember to what I said in the beginning, the ranking factors for different keywords, for different industry and niches, and for different user intents might be very, very different as well. Google is paying so much attention to serving the best results they can based on what they learn, how users interact with their websites, with their SERPs, how they bounce back and visit other pages, refine the searches, and so on. So taking all these signals that they get from us users, their machine learning algorithms are changing the ranking factors for every single keyword almost. So yes, this is what the update was about for city plus hotels in USA, probably. Not for sure, but probably. But for all the other keywords, you might have to conduct such kind of Google Update analysis by yourself for your keywords. So let's go into the summary. What do you need to do for a Google Update audit that you do by yourself? So first, check the rumors and findings on SEO websites and forums if there is some chatter around this, so you can look at your website if those might be fitting already. This would be quick. If this doesn't apply, check your keywords, check which keywords lost rankings. Verify these keywords if they are really being hit by Google Update. Like we remember the vacation keyword for TripAdvisor. They actually have won, not lost. Try to find patterns as we did here with city plus hotels. This was really obvious for us. And then have a look who's winning on these keywords. Are there winning domains? If yes, try to find the differences between their domains and yours. Like the SEO visibility, the backlink profile strength, the brand strength, SERP features maybe. Then go ahead and check the differences between your landing pages and theirs, like the titles and headlines, schema markup. The content, very important, length, format, depth. Maybe even read the content and see what different information they are displaying there. Other differences, like which we found here with the COVID-19 badge. And repeat this for different keywords with the same pattern. And only those points that you find are true for different keywords in the same pattern might be the ones that you want to go on for fixing, because you're covering many more keywords than if you're just fixing points that are applying to one keyword. And then repeat this for other lost keyword patterns. So for, let's say, city plus restaurants, for example. These ranking factors might be different that are changed. So really have a look into this. So thank you for your attention. It was a pleasure speaking here. And if you want to get in contact with us, with DSG, with Searchmetrics Consulting, just go to this landing page, which should appear right now. Okay, it's not. Just go to searchmetrics.com/DSG. Thank you.
Thanks, Marcus, for this very insightful presentation. And we have received some questions, so I would directly jump in. And the first is the question that I always receive also when I talk about Google Lighthouse. So I'm interested in how you will answer it. Okay. What is more important, time to first byte, first meaningful paint, or time to interactive?
Yeah, that's a really interesting question. SEOs around the world probably look at the time to first byte first because it's very easy to read. But more important to the user is if you can interact with the website, right? So if you see something, well, this is nice if you can see something on the page, but the really important point for the user is if you can interact with the website, if you can scroll, click something. And this is also something that Google pays more attention to. So time to interactive.
Yeah, I would agree for all interactive websites. And maybe if it's a website where you just want to read and you want to start reading on top, you could argue that meaningful paint is the important one. And really, I think time to first byte, it only matters if the value is really, really high, because then it can negatively influence the crawling. But for the real user experience, in most cases, time to first byte doesn't really matter, is my experience. Then you talked about the H1 tags and having 2 H1 tags versus 1. And John Mueller recently said that it doesn't matter how you use your headlines. Google will just use at the font size and the position, and they will understand everything. And the H1, H2, it's just a hint. What would you say to that?
Well, if I remember right, I think I've seen this hangout as well. And I don't think he said that they don't pay attention to this. I think he said that they pay attention to the size and to the position if they cannot clearly understand what you're doing on your page, because the first thing they look at is the source code, because it's easier for them, and everything else they need to render the page first for. And they don't render the page every time they crawl your site. They do this sometimes because it's very heavy in load in work they need to do, and doing this for billions of pages every day, this would be simply too much. So if you can give Google a little hint in displaying the right headlines and using 1H1, it makes it easy for them to understand which headlines are important to your content. And if you don't do that, like TripAdvisor here, they might render the page and try to find it out by themselves.
That makes sense. Here's a very interesting question. Somebody's asking if they got it right, that they now need to include one of these COVID-19 banners on their website in order to rank and show that their website is up to date. What do you say to that, Marcus?
I would say they should, if they are in an industry that is influenced by COVID-19, like the hotels industry, restaurants maybe. Just yesterday, I wanted to go to my car dealer and have my car inspected. And I first went to Google, Googled for their name, and Google would be saying the opening times might be different right now. And so I went to their website, and I didn't see any information on COVID or on their opening times because of COVID-19. It would be good for me to see if there is something. So I just called them and they said, no, it's everything up to normal. Google is wrong here. So if it applies to your business, yeah, put up a badge there. It helps just your users. And everything that helps your users is good for your SEO as well.
Yeah, but I think the important part is that you put the banner up there for your users to inform them, not for Google to find the word COVID-19 in your content and think, oh, this is somebody who has up-to-date content.
Yes, this is important.
Yeah. And then the last user question I would pick, you said that schema markup is not important. Is this a generalized statement that we can just assume that we never need it, or was that specific to this Google update for this domain?
Well, I did check it here because I think it might be important sometimes. So I did this check and tried to see what's happening there. And for this time checking, I would say it was not that important here in this case. But sometimes it might be. So keep on checking it, because it does help Google to understand your website if you're placing the markups there. It's also important to not only pay attention to those schema.org markups that Google is serving features for. Everything that can apply to your website, even if it's not giving you some special announcement there in the SERPs, does help the crawlers, does help the engines that are crawling your websites, not only from Google, to understand what your page is about. And this might help your rankings.
That makes sense. So there are some more questions that we cannot answer, but I think we can just do maybe a follow-up blog post or something with the rest of them. There's one thing I would add to your approach to analyzing Google updates. Something that I really like to do is most of the time when a domain is hit by a Google update, they don't only lose rankings, right? You maybe use rankings on 900 keywords, but you also normally gain on 100. Then I try to make 2 clusters of URLs and do things like running the Lighthouse audit on them, looking at title tag structures just on my own URLs without looking at competition. And in many cases, I've noticed that there you already see some patterns, like especially if you run our content experience and look at the content score for all these pages, or in Lighthouse is often the performance. And especially in industries where you basically have like 10 domains that are well known, have all the backlinks they could ever have all the brand signals they could ever have, and have more or less the same content, like for hotels, flights, etc. There I have noticed that for some domains, there's a super strong correlation of their Lighthouse performance and their actual ranking. And I think I ran this like 1.5 years ago, and especially travel in the US is a branch or a niche where you can really, really see that because everybody has all the authority, everybody has all the content, that within one domain, the performance can be a huge, huge factor. And I actually think that even back then I had TripAdvisor in my set, and you could just see this super strong correlation. Like when their landing page has a good performance in Lighthouse, they rank well. When they have a bad performance, they rank really shitty. So yeah, that can be like a different approach where you don't look at the competition, just at yourself.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. Especially with the performance part. I performed a lot of Google Update audits in the past for clients, and when they reached out to us, they were from different industries, different countries, and one thing that almost always pops out is the performance.
Yeah, good. I think that's a good statement. Sorry, go ahead.
Let's add one more thing that I have seen once when performing it was not Google Update, it was more like a loss of a website that looked like a Google Update. It was only this one website that lost. And they did not change anything on the website. They did not change anything to their profiles, to the backlink profiles, to the content, or anything. So it kind of was a Google Update, but only for this one domain. And what I did to find out what happened there was looking at the SERP before and after. And looking at the SERP before, the SERP really looked nice and everything was there in place. And looking at it afterwards, I saw there was this one SERP integration from Google, which was the Google News. And this showed me that something happened to this kind of keyword set where they lost. And so I looked back in the search results, filtered down to Google News, and went back to the time when they lost to see which news were up there. And I saw that really something happened in their topic that changed the way Google thinks about this search intent, about the user intent. And based on the search intent, they changed the rankings. So maybe this is also something that people should pay attention to, and we can do this very easily, looking back into the SERP with our tool, just by changing the date.
Yeah, that's super important. Like especially right now in like travel, you see that the search intent has completely changed. Like people looking for flights to Italy, they don't want to book flights to Italy right now. They want to see if flights are happening, or they want to cancel flights. And that's something we see very strongly right now with travel within Europe. So let's end this on two notes. Always look at performance. Always look at the SERP. Something that I think many people sometimes forget, because the SERP can tell you so much about search intent. It's the reason why we try to aggregate so many SERP feature data in our Research Cloud and other parts of the software to surface these anomalies. So I would say thanks for everybody who's listening in, and see you all back soon with the next presentation. And I would say bye-bye from my home office here in Berlin.
Bye-bye from here in Solingen as well.